Hello everybody, I'm Thomas. Welcome back to another video. This time I'm back doing something a little bit different. I will be playing the game Detective, a modern crime board game. So for those of you who don't know, Detective, a modern crime board game is kind of like what it sounds like. It's a game, modern crime board game where you get to play as a detective solving cases. The game that I have has 5 different cases, so I will be starting with the first case. I should note this is a kind of story-based game, so if you do intend on wanting to play this at some point, you might not want to watch because you will get spoiled by me going through the first case. I mean, you could also still watch the playthrough, and then if you decide to play it in the future, maybe just sit out the first case, which is what I intend to do if I ever play this with other people. But I really have had this game on my shelf of shame for a while. I have not played it yet. I'm really anxious to give it a shot, so that's my plan here for today. So I'm going to be, like I've mentioned, doing the first case, and I don't anticipate getting through all of it today. I think I read online it takes 2 to 3 hours normally to get through a case. So I'm going to be recording today for a little over an hour, so we'll see how much I get through. I imagine this first case will at least be a 2-parter. I think that's pretty much all I have to get out of the way. I'm using my little whiteboard play mat so I can maybe scribble stuff down if I need it. I also have a piece of scrap paper, pencil for note taking and whatnot, because this is going to be a detective game, so I'll be having to take notes and try to do my best to connect the dots and whatnot. For my investigator I'm playing as Chris Stone, the former private eye, who has the ability I can spend 1 authority token and an appropriate skill token from the token pool to dig deeper on a lead card that has already been revealed, which I guess I should scoot this over. So yeah, lead cards are a type of card from this deck. This deck has like 100 and something cards in it. I think I'm only gonna maybe going through like 20 is what the game says to anticipate going through. And yeah, lead cards have a backside, which allows you to dig deeper. So cards that I have the front and back side available will go on this side of the board, or if I just have the front side, I can go on this side. But yeah, Chris Stone, normally when you get a lead card, if you don't dig deep when you get it, then normally you can't go back to it, but with my ability, I can, and I can use my ability once per day. In essence, the game works. It's played over a series of days for each case, and you can see there's a time track here. And so a lot of stuff in the game have different values for how long hours wise things take. And you can work till 4 p.m. And then if you want to work overtime, you can, but you'll start getting these stress tokens. And noted in the case that I'll be doing, once you hit a certain threshold of stress, you just have to immediately stop what you're doing and submit a final report. There's all these skill tokens up here, which I have from the investigators that are sitting out. They're flipped to their backside, and they have this like consultant mode where they give me extra tokens to start with. So I've already have my token pool, got this all set up. This car indicates it's called the IT marker, the investigation team marker, and shows you the location you're at. You start at the headquarters each day. And that's pretty much it. Rules wise, I kind of just, we'll figure it out as we go. I'm also, normally before I play a game on the channel, I like to play it myself, but this is the first time that I can't really do that. So I'm going to this pretty blind. I watched a Rodney's Watch It Played video to kind of get an idea of the rules. And I read through the rule book myself. So I think I know what's going on, but I might still make some rule mistakes along the way. I should also note that I do have my iPad nearby signed into the database because this game uses an online website for a database for federal agencies and FBI and police and whatnot. So as I get certain data and like IDs and whatnot, I can put them into this so then I can look at them later and reference them and whatnot. So I'll have that sitting off to the side for whenever I need it. But let's go ahead and get started with the first case, which I have already read through once, but I'll go ahead and read through again, just so I kind of had like an idea of what I'm getting myself into, and also for the setup. The first case is a man with a golden watch. All right, so the intro text reads, on Terrace headquarters, July 5th, 8:11 a.m. EST. The briefing room, located on the first floor of the newly built building complex, seems sterile. White creamy walls with glazed over windows overlooking the James River. A large white table, chromed headrails of black chairs, and a gray carpet fill the room. Despite being light and spacious, it lacks warmth. "Hello," says Delaware. He rolls his wheelchair to the head of the table. He has a tired, wrinkly face, long strands of gray hair fall over his piercing eyes. He places his green notebook on the table in front of you. "The task at hand is quite peculiar. The State Department has asked Antares to investigate a potential scandal. A few days ago, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of the Republic of Poland sent a confidential note asking for clarifications of an unusual event. Earlier, in the Ying auction house, a pocket watch with a golden plated bezel appeared. Turns out to be serious. The watch is in the database of objects lost during World War II. The Poles identified it as a showpiece that was looted by the Germans from the Museum of the Land in Posen, Poland, during the occupation of Poland. For Poles, it is both symbolic and sentimental, has both symbolic and sentimental values, and it was a memento of the great pianist Ignacy Pedrowski. Sorry if I butchered that name. According to the data provided in the Poles, the watch was stolen by a Nazi named Kurz Blutzold. Of course, you will find records about him in our database. He clears his throat, glances at his notebook as if he was trying to remember something, and then resumes his briefing. The auction house bought the watch for about $5,000 from a man named Rupert Owens, who apparently did not realize how valuable the item was. The watch is already secured in our evidence store. The matter is delicate. If this Blutzold, by some strange stroke of luck, had lived after the war in the United States, it would be very unfortunate for political reasons. At least that's what the current administration thinks. Worse yet, the press will begin to sniff around. It's only a matter of time before the issue turns into a scandal that I would very much like to avoid in the first year of this agency's operation. Our task is to find the answers before someone finds questions." He looks over the briefing room, checks his notes, and sighs heavily. And finally, one very sad piece of information. The morning after tomorrow, at the Olivet Cemetery, Michael Slater's funeral will take place. As you know, he was one of the police consultants who helped create our unit. He was a victim of a hit and run. Nasty end to a perfect career in the police force. It would be nice if someone from our team could attend the funeral. We'll gather at Richmond PD at 8 a.m. the day after tomorrow. From there, the police column will go to the cemetery. And that's what's going on. So set up, we start at 9 a.m. I've already added the 4 authority tokens to the pool. The goal of the case is to investigate the events leading up to the watch from Poland ending in the Ying auction house, discover all stages, and find evidence to confirm them. I have 4 days to finish this investigation, and the stress limit is 7. And I have some further leads to start with. So I have access to Kurt Blutzold's police files. I have access to the police files on Rupert Owens. I can go, and I have a couple options of stuff to do. So I can go to the evidence storage to look at the watch, I presume. Interrogate Rupert Owens at the headquarters. I can interrogate the auction house owners, or and then there's also the option of the Michael Slater's funeral ceremony, which is on day 3. So I need to put an additional token on day 3 as a reminder of that. And that's where we start. So let me roll fast, enter in these 2 things into the database. Okay, well, here's the file on Kurz Blutholz, born 1911 in Munich, Germany. Lots of information, criminal record, charges, stuff like that. For the lead, seek out assistance of the history consultant concerning Kurz Blutholz. Okay, interesting. Let me go ahead and enter the other piece of info. Rupert Owens is the man who owned the watch that sold it at the auction house. Looks like they were born 1959 in Richmond, Vermont. Guess I can add in their fingerprints, which is good. And then we don't have, there's no way we would have their fingerprints. Makes sense. So I go back to Rupert real fast. See what else. They got a bit of a criminal record. Jeez. So arrested in 1979 for possession with intent to distribute a controlled substance. Yeah, that's not looking good for him. Arrested on 1986 for selling a controlled substance. Okay, 2011 for incident, exposure, and breach of peace, sentenced to a fine and community service, and then 2012 for causing a traffic accident while driving under the influence, damaging a public property fire hydrant. Additional data, known connections is Marcus Owens and Lily Garrett are their mother and father. Which, I don't know if I could just tap on this and get more info. Looks like I can. I assume I can do that. Normally it says don't enter stuff if, you don't get it, but if it's already there, I think I'm okay. So there's all this stuff. I'll go ahead and add that to the fingerprint. Oh, okay. I think it's just saying that the fingerprint matches the personnel file. Okay. And then also they have an ex-wife, Lily Garrett, who we don't really have much info on. And that's what we got to start with. Okay, so we got to figure out what happened, how this watch got to the auction house. So essentially it started in a museum, stolen by Kurt, supposedly, with the data we've been given. And then there's some question marks in the middle. Then somehow Rupert ended up with it, Rupert Owens, and then sold it at the Ying auction house. So it's that middle bit that we have to try to figure out. So it looks like we have a decent amount to go off of right off the bat. We could go to evidence storage, which I might want to do and look at the watch. Interrogate Rupert Owens seems like a pretty obvious first thing to do. Also interrogating the auction house owners. I don't know how much that's actually going to do. So I kind of want to start by interrogating Rupert Owens. I think that makes the most sense to me. I mean, he's the dude with the watch, so I think that's the first place to start. So let me grab card number 108, and we're already at the headquarters, so I don't have to travel anywhere. So let me grab the card real fast without looking. Okay, kind of a little wall of text here, which I'll have to read. But first off, it's going to take 3 hours for this. So 1, 2, 3, fast forward to 11 a.m. Owens is already waiting outside the conference room. He refuses to start the interrogation without his lawyer present. The lawyer arrives late and gives you the business card of Weber and Son for some reason. You invite them inside. They both seem extremely agitated. You plug the laptop into the room system and log into your account. You turn on the interrogation mode, and the first of the screens that take up the entire wall turns on. There's several pop-up windows, the largest of which is the stream from the front or from the camera. Another is vibrating with the audio amplitude, and the third is full of text. You point at the screen. Quote, I inform you that our meeting is being recorded. Additionally, our systems will prepare a transcript of the meeting. You switch to the case screen and post the images from your laptop onto the second screen. On the wall, magnified 100-fold, is Owen's police file and the mugshots from his arrest. You skip over a dozen documents on him. Horrified, Owen sinks in his chair. Finally, the photo of the golden watch appears on the screen. Okay, you say, looking carefully at Owens. Could you please explain how you found yourself in the possession of a watch that was stolen from Poland during World War II? And read questioning at 108. And further leads is information on Weber and Son at headquarters. So let me go ahead and read the questioning, which is in the database. Okay, and now we have the interview pulled up, which I'll read through here in a second. I just want to quickly note, I didn't talk about this before. The technology that they can use to conduct these interviews can also detect the stress level of the individual that is talking. So you'll see kind of here in parentheses, a lot of the times they'll have either MSL, LSL, or HSL for low, medium, or high stress level. So that kind of gives you an indication of the person's stress level and possibly what, how truthful they're being, or maybe how emotional they're being, or just, how stressed out they are. So, the Rupert Owens interview. The watch was my father's, Marcus. He starts getting a little bit more stressed. I found it more or less a month ago when I was tearing through the old house under the porch. I was pulling away the floorboards when I saw something underneath. It was an old metal can, and inside there was a box. In the box, I found the watch. Got excited and thought it would solve my financial problems. I Googled it. I Googled someone who dealt with this kind of stuff, asked around a bit, and went to sell it. I have no idea where my old man got that watch. See, I was still a kid when that son of a bitch left me and my mom. I remember being so happy. It was a blessing. My old man was a horrible jackass. He beat my mom. His friends weren't any better. He was always a coward. You know, the type that is always in the shadows of someone bigger. The type that sucks up to people like, oh, I got it. Like Fredo Corleo? I don't know who that is. Maybe we'll learn. I can't remember any of his friends' names, though. They were never at the house. Always at a bar, drunk. I do recall one of them had a scar on his face, as if someone put out a cigar on it. He was as short as my pops. I think he also had dark hair. They were always drinking together and did some business. Dark alley crooks, all of them. That's all I remember. It was a long time ago. The evening before his arrest, he came home wasted. I remember the exact day because that night, the Mariner 5 was launching, and I spent all day and evening with my friends talking about it. We all wanted to be astronauts in those days. He started yelling at my mother and then suddenly gave her a pendant and some money, as an apology, I guess. Then he pretended to go work on the porch. I think he left before midnight. I didn't want to see that bastard ever again. I have no idea who snuffed him in jail, and I don't care. He deserved it. I think it was right before that he sent a letter to my mom about needing something. He said there was something big happening. He could make a lot of money. My mom was so upset she burnt the letter. The years after his death were good until my mom died when I was 20. It hit me real hard, and I went down a slippery slope. Ended up behind bars. I don't know what he was talking about in that letter. The cops didn't even ask about it. They might have spoken about it with mom at the police station. That's all I know. Is that all he knows, though? So that does, gives us a picture of, what's kind of going on here. I could press them further for info. See, the thing is, though, I would have to use one of my tokens for that. And I only have a limited number of them. I only have 8 total for this whole case, and blowing one on the very first thing I do, I'm hesitant about, because I don't know how much I'm gonna need these tokens later. But at the same time, I mean, this is the guy that had the watch. He definitely had it, so I think getting any info out of him as much as possible seems like the best option. So I think maybe this is, not the best idea. I'm gonna press him further. Especially because there were some parts, I mean, he might have just been getting emotional, but I'm going to spend a token, press Owens further. Now let's see what the back of this card reveals. The air conditioner hums. This is the only sound when Owens finally falls silent. He hangs his head in the air as if his testimony has exhausted him utterly. Uncomfortable, heavy silence falls. Weber closes his briefcase, assuming that the interrogation has come to an end. You stop him with a hand gesture and ask him to sit back down. The interrogation is not over yet. That's all? Anything else? You ask with a threat in your voice. You look Owens deep into his eyes. He looks further. He looks away, turning to his lawyer, and finally says a final few words. This watch, my mother's pendant, there was more of it. All this was left at my father's pawn shop. Okay, who might know more? Maybe his lawyers or something? He had such a funny name. Marcellus or something, just like that fat guy from Pulp Fiction. That Marcellus was fat too. He worked on my father's case back then. Maybe he knows something, but I don't know him. I never talked to him. I just remembered that my mother mentioned him. It was a long time ago. He's probably dead anyway. Okay, I don't really know if that really got me much more than... I mean, we got a name Marcellus for a lawyer, but I don't really have any leads to go off of, so that's not maybe the best. I'm gonna start writing down people on like my little sheet so I can start remembering some of these names. Okay, so people we have so far, first off, we have the lawyer from Weber and Son. We have Marcus, who is Rupert's dad, who supposedly not gave him the watch, but hid the watch in the house. And then we have Marcellus, who is Marcus's lawyer, but we don't know the firm they're with, so that doesn't help much. Okay, so I feel like Rupert's probably telling, it seems like, mostly the truth. I think he's being not quite truthful on when and how he procured it, but I think he's being truthful that it was his dad's. So then I think it's just a matter of trying to figure out what's going on with that. We can't get more information about Weber and Sons, which I think is probably not a bad idea. The other options, I can go to evidence storage to look at the watch, which I definitely want to do. I can also interrogate the auction house owners, which I don't really think is that useful. I will do it at some point, maybe tomorrow. I feel like I'm not going to get much from that because they're just the auction house owners, unless maybe they knew Marcus, his dad. Maybe that could be something. I think I'm going to first go to evidence storage and at least take a look at the watch. I don't think I'm really going to get anything from that, but I feel like it's something I should do. So let me find that card real fast. 103, and this will just take an hour. So it brings us up to noon. And this says, Antharus's evidence storage is a huge hangar back from when the police station was still located here. The police station was moved and the evidence storage stayed. The agency pumped a ton of money into it, added a second hull, automated as much as possible, and rigged everything with Antares computer system. You log into the system, enter the ID number, case number, verification code, then immediately go to the virtual evidence storage. There are 2 items attached to the case. In the picture next to the watch, there's also a cigar box. The watch must have been kept inside it. Where did it come from? Interesting. Okay, so if there is a cigar box, that kind of checks out because he said it was in a metal can in a box. So that sounds truthful then. It's time to collect both the items personally. The system informs you that you can collect both of them within 37 minutes from box 28 in section 2 of the magazine. You choose the SMS confirmation. After a while, get a barcode to open the box. You log out of the system and quickly go grab a bite from the Antares cafeteria, a Greek salad, coffee, and a bottle of water. You go to evidence storage. Read 121. Okay, so let me zoom in a little bit on this. It's the golden watch. Evidence. Opened men's pocket watch. Description, case body with 22K gold ornamentation, clear, poured and polished glass, a crack halfway from 2 o'clock, porcelain dial, broken mechanism, spring type, Swiss inscription on the lid, God, honor, homeland. That's in Polish. It's got the dimensions there. Estimated value is 25K. Dude, that sold it for 5K. Kind of got ripped off. And at the bottom, they have it says numerous scratches, a slight dent above the hinges and the envelope. And it looks like I can turn this over. Okay, and it's the cigar box, I think. So yeah, evidence cigar box, description wooden box, produced in 1940 by Dukes de Cressy, in good condition. In the middle, cardboard insert lined with cotton. Estimated value about $15. From the expertise, from the cotton wool and corners of the box, a series of micro traces of dirt and dust particles have been collected. And then this says at the bottom, you can take the watch in the box to the laboratory to examine them and have them look for fingerprints. Ooh, that might be helpful. I know stuff at the lab does take a while though. So I'd have to drive there. That's probably gonna push me to the end of the day if I want to do that. I mean, that might not be a bad idea to know who's had their hands on this thing, essentially. Okay, let's do that. So first I have to drive to the lab, which takes an hour, and then I have to find number 102 to do this. And that's going to take me pretty much right to the end of the day, as this is going to take 3 hours. 1, 2, 3. So let's hope this is worth my time, because yeah, I don't really know. So the lab, it says, it's been pouring rain for an hour already. The city is still. You take the back streets to avoid the most congested part of the city center. You scan your ID at the entrance. The computer welcomes you and invites you inside. You take the elevator to the 8th floor, walk through a glass door, and enter the clean world of the white lab. You log into the lab bench, give the signatures of the evidence materials, tick off the range of the research you need, add a high priority procedure, and wait for a technician. After a while, in comes a young girl. She puts the watch and the cigar box into 2 separate containers and secures them. The screen with your request turns blue. Data accepted for analysis, notification of status, and the access code will be sent by email. The girl leaves. You have some extra time. You take the elevator to the information center on the 3rd floor, grab a coffee and a sandwich, then you sit with a laptop at one of the desks, free desks, reports, emails, Wikipedia, and reading up on Polish watches. Finally, you get the notification. They're done with the analysis. You go back to the 8th floor, you log in, input the access code, and you have your results. And it says read 126. All right, 126 reads, cigar box analysis result. Evidence, fingerprints at the top of the cigar box, clear fingerprints of both hands, and they have some fingerprints listed here. I'll enter all of this after I read through it. Then we have evidence, fingerprints inside the cigar box, old, well-preserved, a clear thumbprint and fingers on the left hand. Okay, and it looks like those are different. Then we have evidence, sample soil from the cigar box. It contains particles of kerosene with elements of peat enriched with chemical agents for plant breeding. Okay, so it's like material data. And then we also have fingerprints inside the cigar box, old, numerous, but partially worn off. And then it says I have the option to make sure that's all traces if I want to dig deeper, which I don't think I do at the moment, but it says to now read 107. 107 is the results from the watch. Fingerprints on the watch, old, well-preserved, a clear fingerprint on the left ring finger. Then we have fingerprints on the watch, fresh, a clear fingerprint of the right hand thumb and left hand index finger. We have some incomplete fingerprints here on the watch, old and damaged, faulty fingerprints. And then finally we have fingerprints on the watch, cartouche style. A fragment of the ring finger was obtained. So what I'm gonna now do is enter all these new data and fingerprints into the database and seeing what kind of matches up with what, because I'm kind of curious now. Okay, well, I've been entering all this stuff, which there's a lot of interesting stuff that's come to light because of this, but I just entered the last thing, the last little bit of data about the fingerprint on the watch couture dial, a fragment of a ring finger. And as soon as I did that, I got an access denied. So it said match restricted, access denied. Notice your match inquiry has been registered and transmitted to the Department of Defense in accordance with Directive 170-06. I can dig deeper to find out more about Directive 170-06. Using a bit of technology, you can read 107B. Seems like something I might want to do. I don't know. That's kind of odd that so let me go over what else I found, because so the material didn't really tell me anything. That's just entered into there so I could maybe match it up with some other stuff. But for the fingerprints, all sorts of stuff is coming to light. So we now have a bunch of data in here. So let's start with the old fingerprints on the watch. Doesn't really match up directly with anybody, but you can see here it matches up like 40% with this one, with fingerprints inside the cigar box, which those fingerprints belong to somebody named Horatio Dawson. We do have a bit of a file on, and I can get to them in a second. Also, we have fingerprints on the watch. So some old fingerprints on the watch match up pretty much entirely with Marcus Owens, what his fingerprints on file, and also fingerprints inside the cigar box. So there's definitely fingerprints of Marcus here. So it's, Rupert's not lying about his father. His fingerprints are on the cigar box. They're on the watch. That's all good and well. There's also the older ones. There's the restricted access. And then pretty much just Rupert's is the only other ones that come up. So it looks like the three kind of main fingerprints that we can get is, we can see Rupert's is both on the watch and the box. Same with Marcus's. And then we can see there's a third set of someone named Horatio Dawson, which I can pull up their file, I guess. I didn't know I had access to. I guess I can add their fingerprints to our database. Which matches mostly up with the missing one. What's interesting is that they were also born in Richmond, 1967. There's some further leads at the bottom, so I can get incidents on a robbery that he was murdered during. Dawson's personnel file from military personnel file I can try to get my hands on. Also a personal file of Samuel Brown. who apparently Dawson here tried to, or he did assault at some point. So we can pull up what their deal is. Retired American Colonel, World War II veteran, charged with fraud, corruption, and falsifying reports. Interesting. Scar on the right arm. I'm keeping also an eye out for someone that has like a weird eye scar. So this is a lot. This told us a lot. I kind of want, why if I dig deeper though, also like it's already the end of the day. So if I dig deeper on this, I guess it probably wouldn't cost me anything. You know what? I mean, it's gonna cost me one of my computer tokens. I'm gonna use it. I'm taking a gamble here, but I think this is a worthy thing to dig deeper on because there are fingerprints that are in the system. I just don't have access to them because of some directive. And that 170-06 sounds familiar. I was curious. Let me look back at something real fast. Yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna dig deeper. I think it's gonna be worth it. Maybe not. So this goes in this pile because I've only seen this side, and I guess I can review what's on this side. All right, Directive 170-06 is new to you. You do not know what it means. The identification attempt has been registered and transferred somewhere to the DoD. Apparently you are meddling with intelligent affairs. This is the only explanation for the secrecy and restricted access of the fingerprints. You leave your laboratory, take the elevator to the underground parking lot, get in the car. You don't know if you want to chase after this or try to find out more about the mysterious directive. You can always try another method to get the data. The military, Andreas, the police systems are all connected. Maybe a skilled specialist can bypass the blockade, or it could possibly rub someone the wrong way. So I have the option to follow the directive at the headquarters. At this point, it's the end of the day, so there's not much else I can really do for today. So this goes in this pile, and that's it for day one. So we go back to headquarters, slide that down to day two, do that. Am I doing on time? Okay, I will. Oops, I'm still zoomed in a little bit. I'll still play through probably, yeah, I'll at least play through day two. I'll try to speed through it a little bit quicker. And then I'll probably wrap up there because, like I said, I don't anticipate getting through this full case, but it's also, I have 4 days to finish it. So if I finish day two, that makes kind of a good halfway point, maybe. So it's a new day, starting at headquarters, 8 a.m. I have a lot of info to go off of now, a ton. I have so many different things, areas to go. So clearly, I don't think it's worth talking to the auction house people. And maybe that's a bad idea, but like, maybe I'll do it at some point. But right now, they seem useless. I mean, they were just selling something that some guy brought in, right? That's all an auction house does, more or less. So like that's not gonna really help me much. I mean, I think since I dug deeper on this directive, I kind of want to see what's going on there. I already got the fingerprints. I do kind of want to see information on Weber and Sons. I do have the full access to this, right? Yeah. Which wasn't very helpful either. Both of the things I feel like I've pushed further for, dug a little bit deeper, haven't been that helpful. Both of these can be done at the headquarters, so I can try to figure out follow the directive and also the Weber and Son thing. And it seems like there's a lot of stuff in the database I want to start looking into. Like clearly, I mean, maybe if I can figure out more about this Horatio Dawson, seeing what their deal is, maybe looking into going to Richmond PD and digging up the incident on the robbery. Who knows? Maybe their assault on this Colonel Brown had something to do with it. I don't know if there's anything to look in with them. Yeah, there's nothing really tied to them. So yeah, got options. I think I'm going to first do the follow the directive. I don't know what that's going to entail, but I already spent the thing to do it, so I want to see what happens. This is gonna take 3 hours, man. It's like half my day just gone, but let's see if it was worth it. You spend another hour in front of the computer checking all available databases, a cell phone in your hand, a laptop with a dozen open tabs on your desk, and 2 desktop towers on nearby desks hardwired into the Andreas system, crunching data you're spent. You've made a couple of calls to people higher up in the hierarchy, sent out countless emails, 3 cups of coffee, 2 cigarettes later, you still have nothing. Zilch, you're really at an impasse. Procedure 170 something, what does it mean? And suddenly, the telephone rings. It's Ann Bishop from Delaware's office on the top floor. She says, you received a fax from the military archives of the Defense Department in St. Louis in which you're hurried to retrieve. The fax says, the fingerprints marked by your department as the code are not found in the Department of Defense database. Regards, Henry Brown, P.S. Please fix glitch causing your system to seek out non-existent files. You come back, toss the fax on your desk and sit at your computer. You light up another cigarette and read the message one more time. You just can't believe it. Well, there's stuff to go further. I'm not going to try that, but I'm going to write some names down. Okay. I mean, there's so much to look into. So, especially, I mean, Kurt, there's not much really. I can seek out a history consultant, learning more. I don't think that's really going to help. Rupert Owens, I don't think there was much more on him. So there was a bit more, I think, on Marcus, but I think on one of the crimes I could get more information on the robbery. So maybe it wouldn't be bad to go to Richmond PD to get some more information about them. And also, I want to figure out more about this Horatio because I feel like something's going on there. So, yeah, I need to go to Richmond PD. So I will drive there. That takes me to noon. And then, yeah, let me look up this incident report on this robbery that they did. Hopefully it doesn't take too long so I can also do the other incident report. But I think stuff at Richmond PD takes a while just because it's like police work. It's kind of sometimes just a bit tedious, I guess. A lot of paperwork and whatnot. So let's see what I can find out. So it's card 105. Yeah, it's going to take 3 hours. So pretty much to the end of my day. Let's hope it's worth it, but we'll see. The rain starts to annoy you, but what irks you even more is that some stickler did not want to mail the scans, so you had to go down to get them personally. You reach the precinct, entering the office entrance on the other side of the lobby, away from the hustle and bustle of detainees. You pass the investigation room on the right, turning next to the locker room and showers. You reach the archive located at the end of the corridor. You flash your badge, fill out the request form, turn it in, sit on the old metal chair to wait. This part of the police station is quiet and peaceful. After a while, Susie's worried face appears in the window. Someone must have misplaced them. Please wait a moment. We're looking for them. You spend the next several minutes savoring the legendary Richmond PD vending machine coffee, known as the worst sludge. You know that if Susie is on the case, she will go the extra mile to find out what you need. And you are not mistaken. In the end, they find it. You have in your hands the printed out scans of the full contents of the 67 folder. I get to read file 105 and add a authority token, which, if I remember correctly, I think when you get authority tokens, that usually means you're on the right track. So I can read file 105. Okay, this is like some sort of magic trick. I pull up file 105 and it says, look under the insert of the detective game box. There you will find a couple additional handouts. I pull up the insert and there's just handouts in here. It's like a magic trick. I didn't know this was here at all. Interesting. That's really cool. Okay, so this has this police report in it. Let me zoom in a little bit for you. There you go. In case file 1967. So the suspects are this Henry Giles and Marcus Owens, who's a pawn shop owner, and the victim is Horatio Dawson, who is a florist and flower shop owner. So on June 14th, 1967, a police patrol arrived at Horatio Dawson's home in Richmond on a disorderly conduct call. The policeman approached the porch, noticed the door to the house was open. There was no response to the policeman's call, so they entered the premises. Upon entering, at the foot of the stairs, they found the body of a tall, well-built man who was later identified to be Horatio Dawson. The body laid face down with both legs remaining partially on the stairs. The policeman confirmed lack of vitals. Backup units and an ambulance were called at 8:19 p.m. The coroner confirmed death. Evidence, physical evidence available at the Richmond PD Evidential Magazine. Okay. So I didn't, this is getting even more confusing. So I didn't realize, okay, so Marcus, Rupert's dad, is an owner of a pawn shop. I think that was already mentioned at some point. So Horatio died in a robbery. Oh boy, this is interesting. And the suspects are Marcus and whoever this Henry Giles is, this minor pickpocketer. And they arrived at the house for a disorderly conduct call. That's kind of interesting. Yeah, let me real quick, the description of this crime scene is pretty long, but I'll real quick go ahead and read through it. Both the residential property and the attached flower shop had signs of burglary. The glazed glass doors of the kitchen leading into the garden were opened, and the glass just above the lock was broken. The kitchen cabinets and drawers were open, and some of the dishes were thrown on the floor. In the living room, there were broken vases, books from the shelves scattered on the floor, and open cabinet doors. The door to the flower shop was opened, pots scattered on the floor, boxes torn open. Really seems like somebody was looking for something, maybe in a cigar box, who knows? In the police office, papers were scattered across the floor. A broken drink glass was found under the drawers on the side wall. No fingerprint traces were secured. The glass was wiped. A red ceramic pot containing a Florida tassel flower was broken. Dirt was scattered under the window. A footprint, shoe size 11, was found in the dirt. I'm going to pause there. A footprint, shoe size 11, was found in the dirt. Let's just take a quick look at shoe sizes. So Horatio is a shoe size 11, technically 11 and a half, but it's close enough, right? I'm kind of curious real fast. What's Marcus's shoe size? 9. Okay, so it's probably not his shoes, and we don't have really anything yet on Giles, the pickpocketer. So it might be Horatio's own shoes, might be Giles' shoes. I just wanted to check that out. Okay. The desk was moved approximately 12 inches toward the back wall, and parallel scratches were found in the wooden floor. The front edge of the desk had been dented. Traces of type blood A were discovered despite an attempt by the perpetrator to wipe them clean. Okay, on the desk there was a typewriter with a piece of paper loaded, a green desk lamp, 3 pencils. The top of the desk had been wiped, no traces were secured. The open desk drawer contained an old 9 by 19 millimeter Parabellum cartridges. Don't know what that is, but I didn't explain this in the rules, but sometimes stuff is underlined and there's that symbol there. That means you can look it up on the internet, so might be important. A 3.3-pound brass ashtray was found on the desk. Small traces of tobacco were scattered on the floor. The safe in the office was open with a combination lock in the open position. The safe contained insurance papers and bank statements. The statements revealed that Dawson withdrew his full account balance on the eve of his death. That's that's kind of shady. So evidence signatures, there's a lot of stuff here. Most of it is incomplete. So we have fingerprints, traces from kitchen cabinets, drawers, glazed glass, living room cabinets, flower shop door, open drawer, yada, yada, yada. Then we also have fingerprint traces from the ashtray, fingerprints partially distorted, illegible. Then we have material signature, the dirt from the ceramic pot. We have material signature seeds in a soil sample taken from the ceramic pot. We have victims' fingerprints found all over the place. Then we have the final report. So Henry Giles was allegedly a witness to the victim's attempt to sell valuables at a pawn shop. He and his partner Marcus made the decision to break into Dawson's home. Giles allegedly tracked the victim to his home on the evening of June 14th. Giles parked his car on Rosemont Street. He broke into Dawson's home from the garden, leaving a footprint in the dirt, shoe size 11. The course of events is alleged as follows. Giles held Dawson at gunpoint. The weapon was found on the suspect next day. Giles forced the victim to open the safe. There was a struggle, followed by screams. Giles pushed the victim down the stairs. He then searched the house chaotically. The perpetrator likely heard the passing patrol, ran out of the house through the back exit, and drove off. Suspect Henry Giles was shot dead during the attempted arrest on the following day. In the car, a green Chevrolet Dan. There were the day sales from a flower shop, 38 caliber revolver, and an old .08 Parabellum pistol. Same thing that was in the office drawer. All the items were collected during the police investigation. And as far as the suspected accomplice, Marcus, Owen's testimony reveals that on that day, Horatio, was that on June 14th? Was it the same day? Yeah, the same day, Horatio visited the pawn shop with the intentions of selling a variety of jewelry. Owens bought some of the items from the victim for a total of $487. Owens, working as Giles' silent partner, informed Giles that Dawson had more valuables. However, he denied being involved in the robbery. Testimony of Marcus's ex-wife, Lily Garrett, confirmed the suspect's alibi. So we have all sorts of extra further leads that I can add in. Got the investigating officer, police files on Horatio Dawson, Henry Giles, Marcus Owens. We also have evidence related to the case. 106, I can get Horatio Dawson's autopsy report. I can look at consulting a forensic psychologist and also Horatio Dawson's grave. Okay. So it's almost the end of this day. I could also work some overtime, which I might do, and look at the other police report while I'm here related to Marcus and his robbery. But I think first, I'm going to enter all of these evidence into the database and seeing what matches up, because I'm kind of curious about that. And then I'll also add in all of the new further leads, and then we'll kind of go from there. Okay, so it looks like the first pair of fingerprints that were found kind of all over the place seem to match Henry Giles. Which I guess I will be able to add their file anyway, so let me quickly add that in and then try to match it up. Yeah, it's like a 92% match, so that seems pretty good. Okay, now we got some missing ones. Let me enter these. Okay, so the first pair of prints from the ashtray, even though it's partially obscured, seems to match Horatio Dawson, which makes sense. It's his ashtray, presumably, if it's in his house. Okay, let me look at the other one. Okay, the other fingerprints on the ashtray seem to be kind of a mystery. They kind of match Henry Giles, but not really. Oh, interesting. Okay, so I entered in the soil sample from the ceramic pot in the flower shop containing a footprint, and it has some matching evidence. So it has a strong match with the sample soil in the cigar box. So yeah, as it says here, at some point the cigar box was stored in Horatio Dawson's house. This proves a connection between Dawson and the cigar box. I mean, his fingerprints were already on it, but he could have just been transporting it, but at some point it was in his house, so we can kind of more or less confirm that. I still have the other soil sample and one more fingerprints to enter. Okay, and then we also have the seed in a soil sample that was taken, which doesn't seem to match anything at all. So, okay, one last fingerprints to enter. I mean, in the last one, they already kind of told us what it is. It's the victim's fingerprints found all over the place, which definitely matches what's on file. And the cigar box, the ashtray found in the watch, yeah, looks all good. So interesting. So far, let me hop over to my notes real fast. So far, we can let's start working kind of backwards. So we have the Ying auction house up here, right? So this was given by Rupert, who was given the watch by Marcus, who was his dad, who seems like allegedly stole it or whatever, but it definitely was in Dawson's control at some point in the flower shop. So we're starting to slowly get a bit of a picture about how however, we still got to make the connection of how it got from Kurtz to Dawson. And I think that's what we're going to have to try to figure out pretty much next time, because I think that's pretty much all I'm going to do today. I could work some overtime and look into the other robbery. I real quick will enter in the extra stuff on here real fast into the database. Okay, so we got some new files on Michael Slater, who was the officer on the scene. Horatio Dawson, we already had. Henry Giles, we now have access to. I think we already kind of did. One thing I noticed his shoe size is 11, so that matches up with the footprints found. And we had the police. Yeah, so we're all up to date. So it really seems like Dawson, I think it's more or less confirmed. We could say Dawson did have this box that had the watch. It was in his flower shop. And somehow Marcus heard about it. And along with Marcus and Henry, made up a little plan to steal it from him. Honestly, that doesn't really matter. Like the details of that doesn't really matter because we're not really worried about that. We're worried about how did Dawson get this watch? Where did he get it from? I think the only other thing on Dawson's file is he attacked a World War II veteran, which seems like there could be some connection there. So maybe investigating that a little bit, that could be a potential way to go. But I don't know. I think I have an hour left. I guess I could write a report, but I think I have to be at HQ to do that. Let me double check. Oh no, I could do that anywhere. So I'll go an hour forward to get another authority token back. So now we're at 6 authority tokens. And yeah, I think that's where I will wrap it up here today. Yeah, I feel like we made a lot of progress. Oh, and on the back there was, I guess I totally missed this, a little layout of the house. Interesting. Okay, but I think we have a pretty good start on this. Hopefully we can solve it. We're pretty much halfway there. We have 2 days in, 2 days to go, but we're starting to figure out where this watch came from, maybe, I hope. But yeah, so this was Detective. My first time playing the game, and I gotta say, it seems like a lot of fun. I'm really enjoying it. Hopefully I'm not, making any dumb mistakes. Hopefully I'll be able to kind of crack the case, and we'll see what happens and who, following the trail of this watch. It looks like the next time I'll be starting on day 3, where I'll be going to the funeral of the guy who started this all, which wasn't that Michael Slater? Oh, that's interesting. So the funeral for the guy that got shot in the hit and run is also the officer that was on the scene for this. That's interesting. He was a witness. Is that something completely unrelated? Who knows? Maybe we'll find out more next time. But yeah, overall, first time playing Detective, this game seems really cool. I'm having a lot of fun so far. And I like the whole the database part with like entering stuff on there and seeing it matches up. This game seems like has a lot of really cool stuff going on. And yeah, I think I'm on kind of the right path, but I just hopefully will have enough time. And I might have to start just putting in some overtime because yeah, seems like that's what I'm gonna have to do. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, a like would be greatly appreciated. And until next time, I'll see you.